So with that, let's get things started. And Sean, I don't know what the order is. I think Khalil is first. I believe I got a taste of it yesterday when I saw his post on Twitter. And I am super excited to see this, Khalil, because just that taste yesterday was fantastic. So at the end of each talk, I'm going to give feedback. So if you're paying attention to me and you see that I'm looking down, it's because I'm taking notes as you're doing this. So don't worry. I am trying to make sure you get real feedback at the end of these. And with that, Khalil, I will turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Robbie. Okay, so let me just set up a bit. Okay, let me start. I'd like to invite you to a journey to the past. Think back to a time when you got really lucky. Think back to a time when serendipity changed your life. That chance encounter, that wrong turn that opened a new world, that mistake that led to so many good things. In the past few years, I've been collecting and testing tools and frameworks. Tools and frameworks for systematically increasing good luck. Tools and frameworks for designing serendipity. I'll share some of these tools in this talk. Before I do so, please note how those words make you feel. Designing serendipity. Listen to your curiosity. We will make use of that note in a few minutes. There are 3 parts in designing serendipity. First, plant the seeds of serendipity. Second, notice and nurture the sprouting of serendipity. And third, harvest the fruits of serendipity. I'll share one tool for each of these parts. First, how do you plant the seeds of serendipity? One useful concept is the luck surface area. How do we increase our luck surface area? It's simple. By doing and telling. We do something we are passionate about, then we share what we are doing. My biggest project in 2020 was a pandemic response called Project Accessible Genomics. I led a team of volunteer students and scientists around the world to bring genomic tracking of SARS-CoV-2 variants in low-income countries. I initiated this project 12 months ago, and last March was the first ever sequencing of SARS-CoV-2 enabled by volunteers, not governments, not academic institutions. It was also the first ever on-site sequencing of any organism in Mindanao, Philippines. In a few weeks, CNN will visit to do a story on us. We had world experts in portable genomics in our team, and I invited most of them through Twitter. I was not some random stranger to them because I was always increasing my luck surface area. I was working with the garage door open. I was learning in public. For instance, when I read papers in genomics, I would create Twitter threads on them. This started conversations with scientists who had the same interest, and they later became our teammates or our biggest supporters in Project Accessible Genomics. ODPS will make us luckier because we are now better at telling our stories. And by the way, I just applied to the On Deck Health Fellowship. So in case you know people there, I'd appreciate if you could drop a good word. I see Robbie smiling, so I think I just got lucky there. So second part, notice and nurture the sprouting of serendipity. Remember earlier, I asked you to listen to your curiosity. We need to learn to listen to it and to open the door to serendipity. We need to train our instincts to look into the unknown and instead of seeing fear, to see adventure. Project Accessible Genomics started as a small voice of curiosity. How could this technology I've been obsessing about help fight this pandemic? I opened the door and now here we are. Okay, third step, harvest the fruits of serendipity. You cannot say yes to inspiration if you do not have slack. You need breathing room to pursue lucky breaks. You need slack to harvest the fruits of serendipity. The best exercise I've encountered for planning how to increase your slack is called the slack inventory. My version is a table which helps you think about the sources of slack and the sources of tightness in different areas of your life. At the end of this talk, I'll share a link to this table. My last company actually failed to scale, but it became a lifestyle business instead. So it now pays the bills and allows me to play long games like not for profit but important work like Project Accessible Genomics. Okay, so I could only share one tool in each of these three parts of designing serendipity. I have more, but we have to end this talk. We started by looking at the past. Now let's look at the future. Visualize all the good things that could happen to you in the future. I see a growing web of possibilities. The simple truth is that it is impossible to predict 99.9999% of the good things that could happen to us. For the small sliver of good things we could plan for, we have a playbook. We call that project management. For all those good things that we could not foresee, we should also have a playbook. I'm creating that playbook, or at least one playbook, and I'm calling it Designing Serendipity. So if that resonates with you, sign up at designingserendipity.com or DM me. All the things I promised to link to earlier could also be found there. So once again, listen to your curiosity and open the door to serendipity.
Khalil, that was fantastic. I'm super impressed. All right, let's get in some notes, man. That was really good. There's a lot of good stuff here, Khalil. Like, I love the idea you start with this journey to the past. Let's take a journey to the past, right? Like, that was a great hook. That may not be the hook that, like, that's not necessarily a story, that's not a quote, but like, that was great. Let's take a journey to the past. Like, who doesn't want to take a journey to the past? I want to say too, and I'm going to jump ahead, but the way you looped it at the end of your talk and you said, we've looked at the past, now let's look to, I want you to imagine the future. I thought that was absolutely beautifully done. Like, it really was that journey. It was super smart. Really enjoyed that. I loved early on, you had some think back language. You had that. You had some repetition where you were starting with that over and over and over to build that. I think you also did tools and frameworks. You repeated that twice, so it stuck out to me. I thought that was a really nice kind of way of making sure I understood that. Designing serendipity is a fantastic theme. I think Jojo said that. Really beautiful theme. Great idea. I thought that made a ton of sense. You also did a really nice thing, kind of like what Valerie Alexander did in her talk, where you said, hey, I want you to keep this in mind, this feeling of like, what does that mean to you? We're going to get to it in a few minutes. It was great. It's a great way to keep us engaged, right? So I love that. You broke it into three parts. Very visual. You used a lot of visual language, Khalil. It really came to life, like the open garage door. You weren't like learn in public. You said an open garage door, which I was like, I get that idea far more than learn in public. It came to life, right? Like that was much more beautiful. I love the ODPS makes us luckier, and then you do the call out to try to bring in some of that luck. I thought that was smart. By the way, I know some people who are in the health one. We'll get you a good in there, Khalil. I love, again, the seed, nurture, harvest type idea. I think it was very, very smart. The harvest. One thing that you did really interesting too is there was one point where you were talking about serendipity and like being this web kind of exploding out, and you kind of use your hands. And I know you, so I know you're a big Rome guy. And it reminded me of like the Rome graphs and how they basically function and they put all the pieces together. And when you were talking about this, I basically felt like you were a living, breathing Rome interpretation that was speaking to me. But again, that's because I know you, but it was super, super cool. I love how you turn it into a pitch. Like, hey, like sign up at Design Serendipity. Like my big idea is you should be involved in this. I thought that was super great. Your tone was really nice, really pleasant, Khalil. I thought that it was very smooth, very easy to understand. It was very soothing too. It had like this kind of nice, calming presence that was coming out of it. The one thing I'll tell you to be aware of, you do this a lot. You put your hands directly in your face. What happens then is it takes away, it's harder for me to hear the words coming out of your mouth because your words are hitting your hands. So be aware, like this happens a lot with people with beards. They'll start doing this and you can't hear them because their hand is muffling what they're saying. It's a little thing. And I think you use your hands really well. Instead of bringing them here, try bringing them down, like just down to here, just like basically below your chin. Will serve the same purpose without getting in the way of your words. The only other thing I'll tell you is the ending. I think you probably could have ended a little bit earlier when you said, if this sounds like an idea for you, and I'm telling you, it's an idea for everyone, it's time to go to designserendipity.com and open up your curiosity. And you could have stuck it right there. I think that was like those were like the two minor things I really picked up on, Khalil, because I thought it was a great talk. I really did. I think it's a great idea. I thought the structure made a ton of sense. Super interesting, visual, came to life. You put in your own stories. By the way, like huge congrats on what you've done. For anybody who doesn't know, like Khalil is doing incredible things when it comes to COVID, especially in the Philippines and other places that are really being ravaged by it right now. So a huge congrats, Khalil, to you, your team. The fact that CNN's coming out to cover it, like, just tons of props there. All in all, man, just a really, really great talk. Seriously, great talk. A few minor things. But other than that, like really well done. This would be a talk you could easily use out there to pitch this idea. So everyone, like, that's what I got. But Khalil, seriously, fantastic job, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Whew. All right. It's a high bar. I don't who Zane is up next. So Zane is going to bring it. And if anybody wants, after you go later at the end of the night, feel free to reach out.